Okay, everyone, I wanted to do a quick wrap-up with biochem, so I figured I'd try out a fun and interesting way of putting some notes together so that we understand how all of the little concepts that we talked about in biochemistry actually work and fit together. So this is going to be our biochemistry wrap-up. Okay, so the first thing I want us to think about when it comes to biochemistry is this importance of carbon. So how I'm going to start this off is writing a little person. He's holding a little plant, and he has a pet cat. This might seem super silly. It's meant to be. But hopefully this helps us understand some things. We'll call him Joe. We'll call the cat, we'll give him stripes. His name will be Tiger. And then, why not name the plant too? That's going to be Sprout. So what I want us to keep in mind is that Joe, Tiger, or Tigger, and Sprout are living organisms. Okay, what are some of the characteristics that we've listed before of living organisms? Well, living organisms reproduce. They're able to maintain through homeostasis. They respond to stimuli. That includes plants. They also do as well. They're able to grow and develop, composed of DNA and RNA and more. So those are just a few characteristics of living organisms that Joe, Tiger, and Sprout all share. That's just review. So what I want us to take from this is that, draw a little arrow here to our next concept. All living things are composed of carbon. So carbon is extremely important in our conversation about biochem. This idea of carbon. And actually I'm going to write here because this is important. Put a little box or begin a box. That carbon is the basis of most molecules that make up organisms. So what we're actually made of, and is the basis of most molecules that are involved in most life-supporting processes. And some of those processes we're going to talk about very soon in terms of cellular respiration and photosynthesis. So why is carbon so important? You don't have to commit this to memory, but carbon has 4 valence electrons. So it has 4 available electrons. that it's able to share with other elements. So it's good at creating bonds with other elements. So it's a good structural piece. So carbon, when it comes to organic molecules, it's the structure of all of those complex molecules that make living organisms themselves. And actually, I'm going to add here that in organic molecules, carbon is commonly bonded to the elements of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and even phosphorus. So just to get a little additional information there. So how do we get our carbon? So what is our carbon source? So I'll put carbon sources. Carbon is necessary for life, so how do we actually get carbon? Well, in terms of animals, we get it by consuming or digesting food. So I'm actually going to draw some food. Don't make fun of my drawings. So I got a little hamburger, kind of. Kind of looks like one. Maybe a Krusty Krab, like a Krabby Patty. Some ice cream. And then here we are, coming along and eating it. Yum! Okay, so how do we get our carbon? Well, we get that through actually consuming and digesting food. So I'm going to flip here. We're going to take that a step further. So what is it that we're actually getting from our food? Well, there's 4 main carbon-based compounds. Had to make sure that we were in the camera. Carbon-based compounds that we've been talking about. And those are our macromolecules or our biomolecules. So macromolecules / biomolecules. And we know them as our carbohydrates, which can be found in breads. We'll pretend that's a little loaf of bread. And fruit and pasta. That's supposed to be an apple. And our proteins. And I'm going to attempt to draw a little like T-bone steak thing. And our lipids. This is butter. And nucleic acids. Nucleic acids, we're looking at DNA or RNA, so that's supposed to be a little DNA helix. Okay, so through digestion, I'm going to try to draw a little stomach for us, rather than going through the whole digestive system. He's going to be happy because he just ate food. He's pumped up on carbon. So through digestion, these macromolecules are broken down into their monomers. So into these simple building block units called monomers. For carbon, the monomer, a common monomer is glucose. For proteins, we're looking at amino acids. For lipids, fatty acids. And for nucleic acids, nucleotides. Okay, so that's going to happen through this process of digestion. When we think of it more on the chemical sense, how are we breaking these polymers of our macromolecules down into our monomers? Well, that's happening through that process that we called hydrolysis. Okay, so in hydrolysis, I'm going to draw a polymer here. And that's going to be broken into little baby monomers. So we got two different pieces here. We're now broken apart because that bond here has been broken with the addition of water. So the big concept here when it comes to digestion and actually breaking those macromolecules down into more usable form of a monomer, it's because water is being added to break the bond. Well, we also talked about dehydration synthesis. That's actually something that we will talk about in the future. So ideas to come. We have dehydration synthesis. So actually taking those monomers, once they've been absorbed by our bodies, they can be put back together again to form polymers through dehydration synthesis. And we can see that, for example, with lipids to form our plasma membranes, or even with nucleic acids. For our genetic information for storage and transfer of genetic info. Okay, so that is to come as we keep working throughout the course.